Hello and welcome to another episode of Toothless MMA Radio Series Quick Hitters. I'll be your host, John Galloway, and today, as we look at the world of combat sports, I'll be joined by my guest, Anthony Gutierrez. Anthony, John Galloway, Toothless MMA, how's it going today?
I'm pretty good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. So, Anthony, you got a fight coming up a couple weeks here in September for Titan at Titan Fighting Championships 30 down in Cedar Park, Texas. How'd that fight come about?
Yeah, all 5 of my professional fights have been with the Titan organization, so I've had a good relationship with them, and they just previously got new owners within the last year, so I kind of my relationship with the old owners kind of just transferred to the new owners, and they kept me under contract after the Ultimate Fighter, and I won in February in the bantamweight division, and then Wallow Watson, who's also in the bantamweight division, I think he won in March, and then so I think the fight just kind of made sense between me and him to where we both are undefeated in Titan and going to see who's better.
Nice. Now, you mentioned your time on The Ultimate Fighter there briefly. Let me quickly, without going into, going back too far, but tell us about your time on The Ultimate Fighter. What was that experience like?
How was my experience in The Ultimate Fighter? Is that what you said?
Yes.
I mean, it was, it's up and down. I basically, any emotion that you could feel or have, I went through it in the house. It was a great experience as far as my fighting career goes, where I'm living and training with, other bantamweight pros that are 9-0, 8-0, 6-0, similar records like me. Basically, it was just a good eye-opener that I realized this is where I need to be. I am at the highest level like I thought I was. So it was good for me to, get that experience and that kind of training and coaching. As far as not making weight on the show and things like that, there's a million unexcusable excuses for that. One was just lack of discipline as far as eating goes. One would be, making weight 3 times in 6 weeks is never an easy task. There's a whole bunch of things that kind of played into account. So ever since then, I've moved on and, just been continuing. Pretty much when I got off the show, I dwelled on it for a little bit, and then every week since has always been the same. Just trying to get better in MMA. That's really the only thing that I do. I teach classes at the Glory MMA, owned by James Krause. So I teach 4 classes every day, and I train 2 to 3 times every day. So really my goal every day is just hang out in my gym shorts, get better, and keep taking tough fights and progressing.
Now, coming off of The Ultimate Fighter, you went right into Titan Fighting, is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, you'd mentioned, as most of our listeners are aware, but those who aren't, Jeff Aronson just recently took over Titan around a year ago, but you had been there even longer than that. Now, how's the experience of going from one owner of the organization to Jeff's ownership? How has that transfer been?
The transfer is pretty much nothing has been different other than they've added the $1,000 finish bonus. So, the production went from, it used to be, it started as HDNet. Titan was on HDNet, and then Titan went to Access TV, and then I went on The Ultimate Fighter, and then while I was kind of gone was when the new switch of owners came around, and then Titan switched over to the CBS Sports Network under Jeff Aronson. So really nothing has changed other than we get that $1,000 win bonus. So it's a pretty good deal. I love Titan.
Now, having spent so much time with Titan and having spent time around the UFC and around their training camp and their production teams, what do you see as the biggest differences between the two organizations?
It's hard to say. The obvious things are the biggest difference. Exposure, you're going to get a little more in the UFC. The production at the shows are a little bit different. Your itinerary for the UFC is going to be no matter what, 100% spot on. You have this photo shoot, you have this meeting, you have this interview at this time. As with the Titan, just like kind of a little organization, nothing wrong with it, but it might just not be as strict or as set up because they are newer up-and-coming promotion with probably not as much access to funds like as the UFC is. But as far as like a regional promotion goes, I've seen them all. I've been around them all. Titan is one of the best shows outside of the UFC for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely an up-and-coming organization. Definitely looking to bring names, including men like yourself. So now, looking at your professional fight history, you're 5-0. You haven't had a fight that made it out of the first round. What do you attribute your finishing rate to?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of I don't really know. I mean, I think maybe the guys that I fought, like the last dude that I fought, he had 20 pro fights. I think his record was like 14-7 or something like that. And the reason why I took that fight was his record was decent. He had a lot of experience, and he had just came off a win against a guy named Laramie Schaefer, who's a really good pro. I know was on the UFC's radar for a while. Had some good wins in RFA, and so Charlie DeBray came off of that win. So I was like, okay, this is a good fight to take. It's going to be a good test. Well, it kind of turned out that he kind of sucked, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I was just expecting a real tough fight in that fight, and that guy's a douche. I don't really like Charlie DeBray. He was acting like he didn't tap in our last fight, which he did, but so I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I've just been finishing guys because I think the guys I fought I'm better than. And so each fight, I just want to fight a better guy, a better guy, a better guy. And I think Warren Watson's going to be a good test. He's going to be one of the toughest guys I've fought. I would say out of all my amateur fights and pro fights, I've had 25, 26 fights. He'll be up there as top 4 or top 5 opponents that I've faced. So this is good stuff. I expect to finish him in the first. I see a lot of holes in his game that work towards my advantage. But I don't know. I've just been finishing, dude.
Now, without giving away any of the game plan here, where do you really see your strength advantage over his? 4 of your 5 fights have ended by submission. Is that the angle, the sub game, or are you looking to stand with him?
Well, if you look closely at my record, 4 of the 5 have ended in submit. Or is it 4 of the 5 ended in submission? Yeah.
One of them was from knees and elbows, though.
Yeah, submission to strike. So really, I think I have 2 finishes by punches and elbows, and then I don't even know what it is. I just got done running, so I'm kind of like all over the place right now. But I play basically with Walter Watson. I could give my game plan away. It doesn't even matter. I'm going to fight him everywhere. He can't wrestle to save his life. So, I'm going to stand with him. Let's say I have trouble standing with him, I'll take him down with ease. He's a 10th Planet brown belt, but 10th Planet is cool and all, and it's marketable, and it has a big following, and it's kind of sexy, but there's nothing special about them. And so, my plan would just be keep him on his back, stand with him, beat him on the feet if I have to, take him down, keep him on his back, and beat him up. Pass guard, take submissions when I see him, scramble, and I'm really just going to be in his face and keeping my striking pretty basic and just pretty overwhelming. That's my game plan.
Now, let's take a step back for 1 second and talk about your roots in MMA. How exactly did you get started with mixed martial arts?
There was a gym that I trained at, just a fitness center, where I would just use the treadmill and some weights. I was like 15 years old, trying to lift some weights for football in high school, and there was a gym in the back that had some wrestling mats, and they were like rolling around, and it just looked like they were wrestling, but they were doing jiu-jitsu. So I was kind of watching, and I was like, oh, this would be cool to do. It'd be good for conditioning, and it'd just be fun. So me and my buddy went back there kind of uninvited, and we're just wrestling each other, and then we signed up for some classes. My buddy ended up quitting like a week later, and I just kind of stayed in it from the time I was about 16 till today. I haven't stopped. Just that once I started finding success in the gym, like I started training jiu-jitsu and training MMA. And, when you first walk into an MMA gym, you idolize everybody because they've been doing it longer than you have. But then once I started kind of getting good and, submitting guys and stuff, I started being 16, 17. I was like, okay, screw football and basketball. You're tiny anyway. You're never going to make it past JV. So you might as well just, put all your eggs in your basket into MMA. And I've just been at that. When I had my first fight, my whole thing was, I'm just going to do a fight, man. I've been training for so long. I'm going to do a fight. I have to. So I was still in high school because you have to be 18 to fight. So I just turned 18, had a fight, and I won. I'm like, damn, I'm going to fight again. And I won. I was like, well, shit, I'm going to fight until I lose. Well, then I went 13-0 as an amateur. So once I hit that point, I was like, okay, like, I got to make a serious run at this. It'd be kind of foolish not to, especially with all the time I put into it. So It's always just been kind of this snowball that's keep going.
So you're one of the what I call like the new generation of fighter, where from day one you've been training in all areas, jiu-jitsu, striking. You didn't start out as a high school wrestler that then turned into MMA. Do you think that gives you an advantage over guys that started out with just one discipline, such as either boxing or wrestling? Do you think that gives you an advantage that you're more rounded from the start?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I always tell people, I'm a C+ fighter in every single aspect of the game, and I can blend it at a C+ level, which makes me a B+ fighter. You know, if Henan Barrow and TJ Dillashaw is an A+ fighter, I would say right now, just being honest, in my career, I'm probably a B+ fighter, working my way up to that level. So me being a C-level fighter everywhere is definitely a huge advantage because, like I was explaining earlier with Lolo Watson, his striking is it's okay. I don't think it's that good, but his striking's decent, his ground game is decent, his wrestling's terrible, so I can fight him wherever I feel, it's going to be easier. If I feel some duress in one area, I can take it to another. If I feel some stress in that area, I can take it to another. So, and on top of that, maybe he starts putting it on me, or I'm putting it on him, and he decides to take me down. Well, I can fight him on the ground too. Or if I'm killing him on the ground, he wants to get up to his feet and stop doing that, then I can fight him there too. It's nice to be a balance everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, going into this fight, without looking past it, where do you see your run going here with Titan? Where do you see yourself a year from now, 2 years from now, within this organization?
Yeah, I know Titan signed. I'm pretty sure they signed Ivan Minjavar, another UFC veteran. I want all the UFC veterans. I want all the guys who are on the brink of going to the UFC, or I want all the guys who just got released. I think me and Wallel, as far as looking at the roster, this could be a title fight for Titan Fighting Championships. I know that they're trying to slowly get some title fights put together. I think Ben Saunders was going to fight for the belt. I know on my card, Vinny Magalesh and Jason Brills. That's for the belt, isn't it? I'm not sure.
Yep.
But they're starting to add belts to the weight classes, so I think me and Wallel Watson would be a good bantamweight title fight. But after I beat him, I'll probably just take the microphone and say, hey, I want Ivan Minjavar. I want any good 135er in this division because I want to be their champion. I'm not worried about the UFC right now. My goal is just to keep getting better and make money and just keep winning fights. I know eventually if I just keep doing that with a positive attitude, eventually my time will come there. But right now I'm just focusing on getting better and staying with Titan.
Yeah, that's a great attitude to have. Now, going into the fight, you have companies and you have people that have helped you out along the way. Any sponsors that you want to give a quick shout out to? Anybody helping you out?
Yeah, for this fight right now, I really haven't racked up any sponsors other than On It. It's ONNIT.com. They've sponsored me for my last 4 fights, and even when I don't have a fight scheduled, they're still taking care of me, which is awesome. Companies like Rev Gear have sponsored me in the past for my fights, but as of right now, I don't really have any sponsors. Really, the only companies I'd like to thank are On It and Glory MMA and Fitness. Those are really two about it. Glory MMA and On It.
Now, if people can't get down to Cedar Park to see you live, and they miss it on CBS Sportsnet, where can they follow you on social media to keep up with what you're doing, how your fight went, and what's coming up next for you?
Yeah, Twitter would be Sharkbait816, and then Instagram would be the exact same Sharkbait816, and on Facebook.com/Sharkbait816.
All right. So real quick before I let you go, where is the shark bait from? Where is that from?
Yeah, when I started training, when I walked into that gym I was telling you about earlier, I used to get beat up all the time. James Krause was already in there, a whole bunch of pros, Eric Marriott, tons of veterans in the sport. We just call me Shark Bait because they were all way ahead.